Hey there, this is the part 2 video for handwriting. So if you have not already watched the handwriting part 1 video, I would love for you to go look at that one first, because that one is going to talk about a lot of different ways that you can support handwriting, which really should be your first area of concentration before you go to handwriting on paper. Because as fun as I try to make this with colorful pencils and some decorating, this is really going to be an activity that a child can only do for a short period of time. This is not, unlike the way we all learned handwriting, which is pretty much just practicing letters on paper endlessly. I try to make it as fun as I can, but as you will remember from the way that you and I all learned handwriting, parents, that gets old real fast. And so I really want the children to be focusing on the other activities I talked about before focusing on this. And this should really only be for, I would say, 10 minutes a day. So you might do, depending on the child, they might only get a half a page like you see here. If they've been doing this kind of work for a while, or if it comes easily to them, they might get a whole page done. They may be able to do a front and back page, but that should be about it. I don't want any children to be trying to do this for hours and hours on end. That is not going to be productive. For those of you who use a lot of economics, we're talking about the law of diminishing returns. So 5 to 10 minutes a day, maybe 15, and then switch gears and use your brain for something else and use your body for something else. That's the idea here. But for those 5 to 10 minutes a day, we can take a piece of paper like this. Now, this is the guided paper. I'm sorry, my camera keeps focusing and refocusing. If I keep my hand there, maybe it'll stay. The guided paper that you see here is what we use in the lower elementary classroom for practicing our handwriting. And you can see that it has a weighted line, and then it just has very basic guides for the half-size letters and then the tall letters. So if you are noticing in your child's handwriting that they are making all of their letters the same height, this is the paper that you want to use. I can provide you with a digital copy of this that you can print. Or if you would like some of this, you can let us know and we will make some available for you to pick up from the school. But you can also find these types of papers on a variety of websites. If you search for free printable handwriting paper, you might get overwhelmed. So probably your best bet is to check in with me or with the office and see about picking some up. Or getting some sent to you in an email that you can print. Let's stick with that. But anyway, for the children, I want you to take a look at the words I have written here. And many of you, if you're watching this and you're in my class, you have done this many times, but first graders may not have done this with me yet. So this would be a great thing for the first graders to do for the first time. So what I will do is I will choose some words to write down, and I choose these words based on the children's work. I look at their writing. What are they writing about? If they're writing about dinosaurs or space or peacocks or whatever they're interested in, I will look at that writing. Maybe they're writing poetry, maybe they're writing a fiction story. I take a look and I identify areas that they need help with. So it may be the formation of certain letters, in which case they might get a page like this with just 1 or 2 letters on it. It may be connections between letters. Maybe they're struggling with that connection with those letters that, as I like to say, those letters like O and W, they end with a waving up high. That connection happens up at the top of the letter rather than at the bottom, which is where they normally happen. Or maybe, again, it's just the tall letters and the half-size letters and making sure there's a distinction between, for example, the E and the L in this word tell. I'm sorry, it's driving me crazy that trying to move my hand the right direction with the camera. So whatever the particular issue is, just pick one. You might get overwhelmed. If you look at their handwriting, you might see so many issues that you don't know which ones to start with. Just pick one. You won't go wrong. And give them some words that highlight that particular difficulty. And just work on that today. You can always work on another one tomorrow. So what you're going to do is get out some colored pencils. Crayons are also fine for this. The colored pencils are the ideal thing to use, but if you have gel pens, they would love to do this with gel pens, or fine point markers. They would absolutely love to use that, because I don't really use a lot of markers in the classroom. So you might actually generate some interest in this activity if you use some markers. But today I'm going to show you this with colored pencils. So I'm just going to grab one of my colored pencils, and this is the sample that the parent has written in their nicest handwriting. And again, don't worry if you haven't used your cursive handwriting in a long time. Just do your best. It'll be just fine. And you can certainly look online for tips on how to form the letters if you can't remember. But most of us, it was drilled into us pretty well. And I think for the lower elementary, we probably have mostly parents who did learn cursive in elementary school. If not, just look on YouTube. There's going to be a video to show you. But so the child would just take one color and trace the word the first time, and that's why we want to provide one to trace. Keep in mind, we make the whole word in one fell swoop, and then we go back and cross. So you may need that reminder, parents. And then they can take that color and go ahead and write it again. Now I'm doing this upside down, so it may not be my absolute best handwriting here. Okay, and they can keep going in that same color. Or if they want, they can switch. Now they could trace in green and then write another one in green over here. You can mix it up. That one was not my best. You can mix it up in any way that keeps their interest. The idea here is to keep it interesting and fun. So if they say, I want to make everyone in a different color, that's what you do. If they say, I'm going to fill this whole page with orange, that's what you do. Again, it's about looking for those opportunities where the child is showing some interest and saying yes, okay? So you can keep going with a variety of colors here, and when you are done, you should have a very colorful, or if they wanted, a very orange page full of handwriting. And again, the idea is to keep going as long as it's fun. When they start to show signs of tiring, and oftentimes that comes out looking like frustration, it's time to stop and switch gears. And this is a very fine motor concentration activity. So a good one to alternate this with, if they, when they're ready to stop and they're showing you that they're ready to stop, a good thing to alternate this with would be something big and fine motor, or gross motor, such as folding some laundry or taking a walk, or cleaning something where they have to stretch their body or bend down and get under the chairs. This is a great time to dust the rungs of the dining room chairs. Something that requires a completely different set of muscles and a completely different set of brain parts, for you neurologists out there, will be a good thing to alternate with an activity like this that requires a lot of fine motor and a lot of keeping your body still and concentrated. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for parents and students. I've enjoyed showing it to you, and just shoot me an email if you need any help. Okay, thanks guys, bye-bye.